standing. We'll take a moment to reflect on the tragedy that happened last week in Connecticut. Okay, thank you. Whereas Dance Marathon is a nationwide movement involving college and high school students at more than 150 schools across the country who raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals in and near their local communities. And whereas the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, together with their corporate partners and generous donors, have raised more than $4.4 billion for sick children across the United States. And whereas the Children's Miracle Network hospitals were founded in 1983 with two simple goals: help as many children as possible by raising funds for children's hospitals, and keep funds in the communities in which they were raised to help local children and their families. And whereas it is appropriate for St. Mary's University of Minnesota and Winona State University, with the support of the Winona community, to join together in their efforts to raise money and support for our nearest Children's Miracle Network hospital, Gunderson Lutheran of La Crosse. Whereas Gunderson Lutheran supports the old children and their families in our Winona community with expert treatment, care, financial aid, and moral support. And whereas any community member may attend and participate in activities that educate the public and promote the Children's Miracle Network. And whereas it is appropriate to honor the ill children in our community, and whereas we will dance for those who cannot at St. Mary's University of Minnesota on February 15, 2013. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jerry Miller, do hereby proclaim February 15, 2013 as Dance Marathon Day in the city of Winona, Minnesota, and urge all our citizens to support the efforts of local organizations that encourage the support of our local Children's Miracle Network, Gunderson Lutheran, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Is the gal here who, oh, you are? Okay. I'm sorry. Come on up here, and then I'll present this to you, and you can say a few words about you running the weather or something. So I'll present that to you if you want to say a few words.
Sure.
Make sure that's on.
I'm short. So St. Mary's is holding Gunderson Lutheran's first dance marathon, and Dance Marathon is an all-night event that raises awareness and money to help the children of the Winona community and area. So what the Children's Miracle Network does is they just help families with sick children with food, gas. If they need to stay the night, they pay for the hotel room, and of course they pay for the medical expenses. So St. Mary's is holding a dance marathon to help support our Children's Miracle Network Hospital, Gunderson Lutheran. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your effort there. Just a few words. I just want to say that I appreciate all the councils that I worked with throughout the years, all the staff people I worked with, and it's because of your efforts that where we're at. We're a strong city. We're financially strong. What I'm especially proud of that we all accomplished was that all of our departments are strong. They're equipped. We just spent a lot of money in the fire department. We've always spent money in the police department. We've had some major upgrades at the sewer and water departments over the last few years. Our street department and park rec and park maintenance all do a great job, and that's because of all the combined efforts of the councils and the staffs that we have throughout the years. So I want to thank all of you for 16 good years. Judy?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for 8 years of wonderful service to Councilman Debbie White. She will also be leaving this evening, and we thank you for all the time and effort you put in over these 8 years on helping direct the city and where it goes. Thank you very much. And I'd like to turn it over to Jerry Craig for a moment.
Mr. Mayor, you want to join me up here?
Oh, okay. My pleasure.
Gotta make sure I have these. When we started this, neither one of us needed these. Okay, let's do it this way. Whereas Jerry Miller has served the City of Winona as a member of the Winona Human Rights Commission from 1970 to 1974, the Port Authority of Winona from 1982 to 1992, City of Winona Second Ward Council Person from 1982 to 1985, and served as the Mayor of the City of Winona from 1997 to 2012. And whereas during his career in community service, one of Jerry's greatest strengths was his proactive leadership approach and desire to do what was best for the community by bringing together businesses, organizations, by being supportive of his staff, and listening to the concerns of citizens, young and old. And whereas Jerry's desire to serve his country through his community is not only seen through his civic duties, but also through his devotion to the people of the community, by honoring those who have turned 100, celebrating special milestones of citizens, following and supporting local athletics, especially local college teams, where he can be seen supporting the team in the stands, to speaking at grade schools, colleges, the Friendship Center, or in our nursing facilities. And whereas Jerry has always been proud of his heritage and his family, by working for his family business and making Miller's Scrap open to all those who wanted face-to-face contact with the mayor. And whereas Jerry has said that one of the greatest impressionable statements to him has been, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And it is shown as a true statement to the character and devotion Jerry has shown to the Winona community during his official public service that he will continue to follow. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Winona City Council that Jerry Miller be thanked for his outstanding service to the Winona community.
Thank you.
Mayor Miller, on behalf of the City of Winona employees, we want to thank you for your service and your leadership as our leader for 16 years. And the City of Winona employees have collected donations for the Maury Miller Foundation, Maury Miller and Mentoring Program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is deeply appreciated. I don't like to really talk a lot about things. My view is history, it's past, and now we look forward from here. But I am serious when I say I appreciate the way that we were all able to work together, and that's what gets things done. And I want to thank the people of the City of Winona for allowing me to be of service to them for all those years. Appreciate it. Thank you. Most things are hard for me to do. I had the opportunity to address the Winona State graduation last Friday, and I probably said some things that I would not normally say in that setting, but I thought it was appropriate at that time, and hopefully those students would take a little bit of what I said and go on from there. So, Judy?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Monica, call the roll, please.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Councilman Thurley.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Alexander.
Here.
Iden.
Here.
Borzakowski.
Here.
White. Here. Under the required public hearings, item 2.1 is to consider vacating a portion of Bridge Street.
Okay, I'll open that public hearing and ask if there's anyone present wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street. Anyone present wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street?
Mayor Miller, City Council, my name is Rich Micrud. I live at 1355 Grandview Court in Minnesota City. Micrud Properties, which I'm general partner of, is the petitioner. for the vacation of the street. The reason for the petition is our tenant at 1250 East 8th Street is planning a rather large expansion to their facility. And in order to facilitate that expansion, it is necessary for us to vacate that street. As part of the process, we have agreed to reconstruct a street adjacent to the vacated street and rededicate that to the city. I'm open for any questions that anyone may want to ask.
Okay, anyone have any questions of Rich, George?
Yeah, Rich, when would this, if this vacation is approved, when would construction on that facility begin?
We are planning on construction early spring. They're they've acquired some other companies and they're moving them to Winona. It's a nice expansion of this company, which we've worked to keep in Winona. They've expanded considerably since they have moved to this facility and are continuing to grow. So to answer your question, it's we're looking at a spring startup. We still have a considerable amount of work to do. We still have some design work to do on the building, as we had to hold up on it until this action is taken, because obviously if we can't get the vacation of the street, then we have to cut back the project or whatever, because it won't fit in the project. So we have to finish the design, and then once we get that, we'll let bids on the construction and go for a spring startup with a probably late summer completion.
With all respect to Barron's, thank you for wanting to bring jobs to Winona. It's certainly something that every community needs, and thank you for your dedication to our city and in doing what you're planning on doing if all this goes forward. Now, they talked about vacating a portion of Bridge Street. Now, I know there's 2 blocks down there. You're just vacating the one. It would be vacated from 8th Street to 7th Street, that entire block?
That is correct.
Is that what we're talking about? Then the other part of Bridge Street has no connection with this?
Right. There are 2 other dead ends. There's 1 full block and then 2 dead ends, one to the north and one to the south. And by the way, the executives, the president, and the chief financial officer from Barron's are here this evening in the audience.
Okay, any other questions for Rich? Okay, thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street? Anyone else present wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Steve Tusick. I'm the CEO of Barron's Manufacturing. I just would like to share with you that 2.5 years ago we made a decision to relocate our facility from the center of town out to the property in question this evening, and it was part of our commitment to the community to grow here and to be part of Winona for the long term. We have good news and bad news. Good news is we're growing. Bad news is we're running out of space. We recently this year acquired our #1 competitor, who is located in Parkersburg, West Virginia, and in 2010 they moved all of their manufacturing to Monterrey, Mexico. As part of our acquiring Dover Parkersburg, we will now be bringing a large share of that production from Monterrey to Winona. So we're pretty proud about that. In addition, we've had a successful year this year in the fact that we have secured Walmart as a new customer, and we are in the process right now of building inventories for a launch for our products to be on the shelves in February of 2013. So as a result, we're already in a build mode for the pipeline fill for Walmart, and we are actually renting temporary space in order to house the inventory for that launch. The facility that we have today starts on the east end of town toward Peerless Chain, and as in most manufacturing, your efficiencies are very important to stay competitive. And our process flow starts on the east end of the building and flows through to the west side of the building where our distribution is actually housed. And that's the area where we're looking to expand 25,000 square feet. As a result, we have a minimum addition of 15 new jobs. My expectation is that will grow from there. So your consideration is very much appreciated. And congratulations to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street? Anyone else wishing to speak to the vacating a portion of Bridge Street? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Council?
Your Honor, I'll make the motion staff presented to us to table this consideration until such time the street dedication and development agreement is prepared would be in order. Is that what we're requesting?
Is that what you want? Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Second by George. Motion by Debbie. Second by George. George?
Just a question. I know I brought up at the last meeting. Is there an
Point of order?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't discuss a table
Not
motion.
yet.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
right. It's a table.
okay, that's right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Now we can ask a question. Does that stop them from moving forward? Yeah, that's for you, city attorney.
Could you rephrase the question?
All right, we tabled the motion to vacate, and the motion was to table the consideration of the vacation until such time that the street dedication and development agreement are prepared. My question is, can they move ahead now?
With their
With their project, yeah.
Well, not until the they can certainly move forward with aspects of their project that don't involve the vacation of the road. Obviously, until the road is vacated, that action hasn't taken place yet. And so in order to vacate the road, we still need to have a vacation ordinance, a deed, and a development agreement. So that needs to come back to council.
Okay, Rich, do you understand that now?
I believe so. Completing the paperwork, is that what we're doing?
That's
Okay.
basically what we're doing.
And then we
Okay.
have to go back to the city council for approval, is that correct? Or is it?
Yeah, because it's been tabled, right?
Yep.
It will have to come back to council.
So as soon as the city gets the paperwork, then they can bring it back and hopefully pass it. Okay? Everybody knows where we're at? Okay.
Okay, under petitions, requests, and communications, item 3.1 is appointments to the Planning Commission of Ed Hahn and Dan English.
I'll move to approve those appointments.
Moved by Michelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Pam. Questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the appointments to the Planning Commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.2 is appointment to the Fine Arts Commission of Claire Richards. Move to approve.
Moved by Debbie, second by Pam. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Item 3.3 is appointment to the Human Rights Commission of John Borman.
Move to approve.
Moved by Jerry,
Second.
second by George.
Abstain.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, one abstention. Okay.
Item 3.4 is the appointment to the Board of Adjustment of Susan Hogehog.
Move to approve the appointment.
Moved by George, second by Al. Questions? All in favor of that appointment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried.
Item 3.5, appointment to the Recreational Waterways Commission of Councilwoman Iden. Move to approve.
Moved by Debbie, second by Michelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried.
Item 3.6 is the Bridal Boutique request for 2-hour parking on Broadway.
I move to approve or to consider the introduction of the attached ordinance.
Okay, moved by Michelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by George. Questions or comments? Questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the request for the 2-hour parking. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Under new business, item 5.1 is the 2013 final levy and budget, and we would request 2 separate motions on each resolution.
Okay, Mary, you want to address us before?
Mayor and Council, this is the request for the final approval of the property tax levy for 2013 and also the 2013 budget for the city and the Port Authority. They're the same numbers that you approved back last September for the proposed levy, and also the numbers that you saw at the last council meeting for the public hearing. And the tax levy was an increase of 1.2% over the previous year, and the amount was about $6 million for the city and about $588,000 for the Port Authority.
Okay.
Ron, I'll make the motion to adopt the final 2013 property tax levy.
I'll second.
The first resolution.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Michelle. Questions? Just list off what the ports, the 500, what's that goes for?
The 500, let's see, well, I'll mention in the city levy, the difference that we did not have in there in 2012, there is a bond issue for the Lake Park, the bike path.
Right.
And we have $85,450 included in that levy for 2013. So the total levy is the $6,018,118 for the city tax levy. And then the Port Authority has something new in it also for 2013, and that's the an airport improvement bond. And the property tax levy is $129,000 that was not included the previous year. That's for about a $6.5 million project in for like a phase one for airport improvements starting in 2013. So that tax levy for the Port Authority is $588,660. So those are two additional capital improvements that were not included in the previous year for 2012.
And that's the reason for the 1.5%.
That's the main reason for the increase in the property tax levy. That's correct.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All in favor of the motion, which is to adopt the levy for the 2013 budget? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, carried. Okay. Now we need another motion.
I'll move then to adopt the final 2013 budget for the city and the Port Authority.
Okay, a motion by Debbie. Is there a second by Al? Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of that motion, which is to adopt the budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.2 is the 2013 Visit Winona budget, and Jeff Stevenson is here if you have questions.
Okay, Jeff. Want to give us a quick overview?
I will be delighted. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Jeff Stevenson. I'm our current chair of the Visit Winona board, and Pat is ill tonight and sends her wishes, but we're happy she's home, not spreading her illness with us. Visit Winona has done a very good job this year in representing what has been a very successful city. Winona has many, many things to offer, and the partnership that we're able to provide has really shown the picture of Winona to the state and to the region, I think, in a very broad and strong manner. The programs for the year, financials are up about 6% over previous years. And we have a number of new programs that have helped to solidify relationships across the city and tell the story. The partnership program with a number of businesses have helped build one-on-one communication and help communicate the story of the diverse programs available to our visitors based on all that's available in town. We have a group of hospitality members who meet on a regular basis to share the story and to better understand what each other is accomplishing, and to help those people tell the story when their visitors come to town. Our marketing has continued to grow. As you know, the media, multimedia, web media, everything else, it continues to grow and change. And in this next year's budget, we're investing in new platforms and a new part-time position to help us make the best advantage of those programs. So these investments will help us position for stronger messaging and better use of the media that we're all seeing in our promotional material. Over the last year, the city has made substantial support in helping things work. Major events such as the Governor's Deer Opening, the State Water Trails Day, the steamboats are beginning to return to the levees in and around Winona. We're a hub for the MRT bike trails, Minnesota bike trails. So each of those has had a very positive impact of both telling the story, and as the out-of-town media and others have come to town, like for the Deer Opener, they're always discovering new and exciting and expanding opportunities. Finally, we are looking forward to a much continued improvement and development in and around the community. The growth of the outdoor recreation, strong help from the city staff in that program development, and each of the two universities have strengthened yet another leg of the stool of what we offer, outdoor recreation. So overall, this continues to be a good year. It continues to lay the foundation for strong programs going forward. And we really could not do the work without the strong help of the staff, and of course Pat and her staff that make the day-to-day programs happen. Our thanks to you, and of course to the volunteers of the Visit Winona board that come and make things happen. Happy to answer questions, and we look forward to this following year.
Okay, any questions?
A quick question. I believe you said, thank you, Jeff, appreciate it. And of course, all the hard work that everyone does. It's fantastic. I don't have words for it. Yeah, I think you said you're going to explore new platforms. Did I hear you say that?
Well, the platforms, these are the media that I'm not, Facebook and Twitter and
social media.
Social media.
Okay.
That's the platform.
You're going to develop that more.
Continue to grow that and focus on how to best tell the stories.
Because when you said platforms, I'm thinking computer. I mean, I'm like hardware.
We're improving our website and making that more functionally interactive, but that's the platform's
as well.
Translation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Al.
Just not a question, just a compliment on your existing website and your social media. Every once in a while I'll get an email from Visit Winona about something coming up, or if I have to get some information on something, I can always find it at the Visit Winona website. So
great.
Keep up the good work.
Well, happy to share it, and we're glad that there's so many things to trumpet to show the success of programs available.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Very good year.
Item 5.3 is the city refunding bond sale.
Okay, Mary.
Let's see, we had a successful refunding bond sale today. First of all, we had good news at the end of last week that our bond rating continued at the very good rating that we've had, which is an AA1. And I think I gave the council a summary from Moody's Investor Service. And on that sheet, it mentions our strengths and then our challenges, which I think the mayor might bring up the challenges at the end here. So that was the good start. And then today with the sale, we had 4 bidders, and the best bid was at .96, and that was Robert W. Baird. And so that would be that's in the council resolution that you would be awarding the sale bid to Robert W. Baird. So overall, we should be saving about $102,000. I think originally the estimate was from Springstead was $106,000. So the interest rates were not quite where, the market wasn't quite where Springstead had thought it would be when they drafted that a couple months ago. But still, we would be saving in the water fund about $102,000. And for a while, we'll have both bonds on our books because it's the way it's structured. It's called a crossover refunding bond. And then the other part is we had thought that the par would be at about a $1.745 million, and instead it's I think a $1,685,000. It's a little bit less because the top bidder bid at a premium bid, so we save a little bit on the par issuance.
Any questions of Mary? That was .96.
That's a .96 for interest, that's right. It's a short bond.
Right. Just list a couple of things here. Some of our strengths are our regional center due to its significant manufacturing sector, which we just got some good news tonight on. Educational institutions and healthcare presence, and we got a highly diversified tax base. Strong financial operations. We maintain reserves as the equipment fund and the facilities fund. And we budgeted for a reduction in local government aid. In other words, we didn't budget for our full amount of government aid, which is a good sign. We do have some challenges, and I always look at challenges as opportunities. We have to be careful that our tax base does not go the other way. I think we're in fairly good shape for a little while here, but pretty quick, the city's going to have to make some decisions as to how to grow that tax base. We have to be careful that our reserves do not deteriorate, and the availability of land that goes together with the deterioration of our tax base. Plus, another important thing in maintaining the tax base is you got to make sure you take care of your streets, your water, your sewers, so that your properties maintain their value and keep their value. If the city gets lax in some of these things, then the property values start to go down. The city's social economic indicators are lower than the state average due to a large student population. In other words, when they look at our average income or anything like that, the students get thrown into all that, and that kind of brings it down a little bit. And, of course, we've had for a long time our dependence on state and local government aid for our operations. And that's something that we have to always keep an eye on, and that's something that can change in a heartbeat sometimes. So it's something to just keep on top of. All right, that does not require a motion, I don't think, or does it?
Yes, it would be approval of the resolution to award the bid.
Resolution for Springston. All right, is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
Okay, moved by George, second by Debbie. Questions or comments? Al?
Just a question, Mary, as long as you're here, and you mentioned the city's bond rating. How do we compare with other communities of our size, say in Minnesota, for that bond rating? Are we pretty well in the upper echelon of communities?
I think for other communities of our size, we're way above. We're a AA1. I'm not sure right now, but a few years ago that would have been the same rating as like the city of Woodbury before the economic downturn. And at one point that was real close to the city of Edina. Rochester is like a AAA, but that's because of Mayo Clinic and of IBM.
Right.
So they're kind of in their own spot. Overall, I would say for our size, we are on the very high end with a AA1.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? George?
Yeah, just a comment from what I understand for our water rates, that for 10 gallons of water, we pay 6 cents, and that includes the sewer tax. And you buy a bottle of water for how much? $1.25, which is how many ounces? So our water still, the rates were raised, but it's still very, very reasonable. So just to keep that in mind, 6 cents for 10 gallons.
Maybe we should start bottling, right?
There you go, yeah.
Winona water.
Yeah.
Winona water.
A revenue source.
$1.50 a bottle.
All right, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, which is to the resolution regarding the bond sale, all in favor of that say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? Carried. Okay, Mary, you might as well stay up there.
Item 5.4 is the resolution for the government accounting standards.
Okay.
This item is something that changed last year with the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, where we now need to have resolutions if we want to have any special revenue funds. And like one of our special revenue funds, just an example, is community development loan program. You have to have a revenue source, and then it becomes a special revenue fund. And in order to have that fund, we have to have a resolution for that. Another part, if we want to commit or restrict any of our funds in our fund balance, the council now has to have a resolution, that's an annual resolution, in order to be able to do that. And then the third item here is in order to assign any funds, and that would be like for cash flow needs. In order to assign any funds, the council has to approve a resolution allowing the finance director to assign amounts of money in funds, and as I say, we usually use that for setting aside money for cash flow. So this started at the end of last year, and this will continue every year that we need to have an annual resolutions.
Okay, we need a motion for the 3 resolutions. Can we do them all at once?
I think you can do them all at once.
All right. So moved. Moved by Al.
Second.
Second by Michelle. Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, which is to approve the 3 resolutions regarding our governmental accounting standards. All in favor of that, say aye. 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 Those opposed? Carried.
Item 5.5 is the renewal for 2013 workers' compensation and the accident plan for city volunteers.
Okay, Mary?
This is the annual renewal for our workers' compensation for 2013. As you can see, the rate went up about 7%, and part of that is because our experience modification, our overall experience of claims has not been as good these last 3 years as it was before the previous 3 years. And so what I'm recommending, or what we're recommending here, is to continue with the option. It's called retro-rated, and what that is, instead of paying a set amount for the year, we have a minimum and a maximum. So during the year we pay a set amount, but then after the end of the year, an audit takes place, and then we see how much we either still owe or how much money we get back. And over the past years, we've saved money by having this as an option rather than paying a flat amount. And so we're recommending to continue with that option. It's called retro-rated. As you can see, it has a minimum. The minimum is like $70,000 to $80,000 is a minimum. The maximum is a high maximum of about $644,000. But we normally fall about at about $70,000, $80,000 less than what that standard premium would be if we would have paid just a straight rate. So we've saved $70,000 to $80,000 a year by going with this option.
Okay, we need a motion on both of them, right? Or there's one?
We have 2 items here. The other item is to approve the accident plan for city volunteers, and I think that's a cost of about $1,450 for the year. So I think that we need 2 separate motions.
Okay. The first resolution would include coverage for elected officials also, right?
You're included. You're included in the overall rates. You're not one of the highest rates on the list, but you are included.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the resolution regarding the workman's comp, the retro rate minimum factor. Is there a motion to that effect? Moved by Michelle. Second by Debbie. Questions? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried. And then we need a motion for the accident plan for volunteers. Moved by Michelle. Second by George. Questions? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.6 is the designation of the official newspaper for 2013. The low bid was from the Winona Daily News with an index number of 22. That is the same as what we are currently paying.
I would so move the resolution accepting the daily news for the official paper.
Moved by Al, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Pam. Questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to accept the daily news as the official paper. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.7 is to renew the Safe Ride Agreement with Winona State and St. Mary's.
Move to approve the agreement?
Moved by Debbie.
Second.
Second by Michelle. Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the renewal of the Safe Ride Agreement. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.8 is the final plat for the Coulter subdivision.
Move to approve the final plat.
Moved by George. Is there a second? Second by Michelle. Questions or comments? Question.
Yes, I am sitting here looking at John Latch looking down on us, and I remember that the land that the golf course is on was originally part of a Latch donation from John Latch. So I am just wondering if this is
Legal?
legal according to the John
Okay.
Latch stipulations.
Carlos? It's a good question.
Just got to get the printer or the projector going here. There we go. All right. So the area that the subdivision relates to is not part of the John Latch land. That is this land down in this area here. So the subdivision is for this parcel right here, and it is not John Latch property or the land.
Whose land was that originally?
I don't know off the top of my head here, but the important thing is it's not the John Latch land.
Okay. Well, he's got to take his coat off.
I'm Eric Johnsrud, and I'm representing Westfield with regard to their petition. This land was acquired from Sioux Line Railroad and Chicago and Northwestern back in the early 90s. So this was not part of the Latch land.
Okay. Does that answer the question, Pam?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Al?
What is the land going to be used for?
The proposed part of the land is use a portion of the land, the northern portion of the land, as fill for a rail spur. And that rail spur would serve the industrial property just to the west over here. That will require wetland mitigation in this area here. And that wetland mitigation approvals, anything that's related to those approvals, will occur outside of this subdivision request.
Tell me how it affects the parkland, the park that's adjacent to the land right just north of North Street.
In addition to separating this 4.65 acre piece of property from the golf course land here, it also dedicates a small portion of the plat to the city for park purposes. That small portion is in this general area right here. It's basically already being used as a park right now, but we're rectifying that, and it's being dedicated to the city for parkland. In addition, there's a small portion of the plat that is being dedicated for street right-of-way purposes under Pelzer.
And is there separation between the proposed rail spur and the park?
Yes, there will be.
Okay.
The proposed rail spur is along the northern portion of the plat right here, so there will be a separation between where the rail spur is and the park.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, which is to approve the final plat for the Coulter subdivision. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried.
Item 5.9 is the disposal of unclaimed or abandoned property.
Move to introduce the attached ordinance.
Second.
Moved by Debbie, second by Michelle. Questions? All in favor of the motion, which is to approve the disposal of unclaimed or abandoned property. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried.
Item 5.10 is the Bison's nonconformity agreement. And this evening, there was distributed an updated version of this agreement.
I would move to approve the attached agreement.
Second?
Okay, moved by George, second by Debbie. Carlos, you want to go through this a little bit, the changes in here?
Yep, the only changes that are in the agreement that's in front of council right now are the words must and will were changed to shall. Legally, they all mean the same thing, but for consistency's sake, we changed those words in the updated document. So we got that taken care of. That's the only change that was made between what was in your packet and what's in front of you right now.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Al?
A couple questions. Tell us a little bit about your discussion, both within staff and at the Planning Commission, about the change in the moisture testing from, I think, what did we have, 4 or 5% to 1.5%. How did that all come about, and how did that end up in this document like that?
The reason we're looking at the moisture testing is it's a proactive, less expensive way to ensure that crystalline silica is not put into the ambient air. And the reason we're looking at the 1.5% is it was recommended by the MPCA. They recommended a range between 1.5 and 3%. 3% is a little bit too high, and the 4% is a little bit too high for the industry to work with. The sand clumps too much. And so the reason it is at 1.5% in the document is so that the industry can still work with it, but yet on the other hand, it also protects the public health as well.
What kind of monitoring is with this agreement? What powers does this give the city as far as making sure it seems like we're right on the edge with this 1.5. We're trying to compromise with an industry as well as protect, the dry stuff from blowing around. How is that monitored? How is does the city have that responsibility? Is it in our budget to monitor it? Answer those questions for me.
So there's a general moisture content procedure that's part of the agreement. And what that general procedure does is it requires the company to test uncovered stockpiles of sand to make sure that they're at least a 1.5% moisture content. And that procedure for testing the 1.5% moisture content was reviewed by the MPCA. And they did take a look at that and basically approved it for our use. I will say that it's a general way of measuring moisture content. It's expected that, and we'll talk about this later on or at the beginning of next year here, that for each individual sand site that the moisture content will be measured in a slightly different way that's customized to each site. So the way that it is written into the agreement right now, the company would be responsible to provide us with a record showing how they tested the sand for the moisture content, and also to show us what the results were and provide that to us. In addition, the city can go out and, under the agreement, has the right to inspect the premises and ensure that the moisture content is at least 1.5%.
How are those inspections triggered? Who can do that? I mean, is that something that your office would handle if a citizen had a concern about a dry pile that they perceive is there?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And how do I had one person email me about sand that is left after processing, and the concern that leftover stuff would have a greater tendency to blow around. I mean, if it's not kept moist, even more so than the processed sand. How's that addressed?
Well, what happens at the site is the sand is screened initially, and the screened part of the sand that comes out of the process are very large particles and large grains of sand.
Right.
The majority of the sand goes to a facility where it's processed, and that's where the small particles are separated, the ones that everybody's concerned about, basically. The large chunks that are separated in the screening process would either be stored on site, or they would be put into a stockpile that's in Winona County right now that the mine has a conditional use permit for.
So those things that are stockpiled then would come under the rules regarding moisture, just like the other piles would?
Exactly. Any uncovered stockpile in the Bison's Quarry area that's covered by the nonconformity agreement, which is anything that's within city limits, would have to be at 1.5% moisture.
Thank you. Debbie?
Thank you, Carlos. If you wouldn't mind, please, just a general overview again for as a refresher, and then anyone that may be new, because we're looking at the nonconformity agreement and see if you can base it on this. We know this went to the Planning Commission before, and if memory serves me, that they had unanimously approved what's been laid out to date in this here. And so the difference between the nonconformity agreement or a CUP, I know has been a question. And also the other question is, does Bisons really need to have this nonconformity use agreement, because they can still be operating and mining basically anyway?
The second part first. They don't need the nonconformity agreement because they are a legal grandfathered use. They can continue to operate the way they have been since 1904. But what the Planning Commission did is take a look at a document that the company was willing to enter into, and city staff worked on in order to help address some of the concerns that have arisen with the mining of sand, and also some of the other issues that have come up through the last year and a half here. The reason the nonconformity agreement is being recommended is because we have an existing mine. The nonconformity agreement functions the same way as a conditional use permit. Basically what it does is it gives you a packet of paper that has a number of regulations in it that the company or the land use has to abide by. And the reason the nonconformity agreement is being recommended is because we have an existing mine here. So the nonconformity agreement is a better fit than a CUP. A CUP would require a number of variances and would be tough to implement. And also, it's the best way to address the diminishing asset characteristic of the mine, meaning that the mine has to expand in order to continue. And we talked about that a little bit at the last council meeting.
And also I think as in the larger picture and the scope of things, so obviously we have the moratorium. Remember, March expires. I know the Planning Commission had hopefully was going to come to us this month. It didn't. There's been a tremendous amount of work done on that. So there's a lot of layers and overlapping layers that that we, in the bigger picture, that hopefully will be approved, other ordinances and whatnot, that everyone has to follow. You know, and some of it is out of our jurisdiction as well. If it's county, if it's township, if it's state. So there's a lot of other entities that come into play in this overarching picture of us getting a good handle on this important aspect of mining and everything else that's going on with it as well, and then also trying to be able to let those businesses operate at the same time, health, safety, and welfare for everyone. Does that kind of sum that up in a way?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's perfect. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Yeah.
I recall from our last meeting when we had a pre-meeting on this topic that the question was raised about the entrance road at Seminary, the Seminary onto Highway 14, that there were some safety issues, and the question was, did MnDOT approve this as it is, or, you know, with the minimal changes that have been made? And I believe you were going to look into, the mayor was going to look into somebody's reference with...
Right, I asked for who they talked to, and nobody ever let me know who they talked to. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, which is to approve the Bisons non-conformity agreement. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. One opposed.
Next item is 5.11. This is a summary of the McKinstry Engineering energy savings projects.
Okay, Keith, you going to address this?
Mayor and Council, at your request, brought forward a summary of McKinstry energy projects. Back in 2008, 2009, the city entered into a contract agreement with McKinstry to do a number of energy-saving projects, everything from lighting and HVAC controls and LED traffic signals, library, lighting, electrical, heating, ventilating at the central garage, water conservation, vending machine controls, a number of items. The big one in the area was methane recovery at the wastewater plant. To make it brief, the most all of the projects worked well. They all saved energy. Most of them saved it according to what the agreement was. A couple of the smaller ones did not. Unfortunately, the largest of them, the methane recovery, did not work as well as anticipated. It still is saving money for the city, but instead of having a payback period as anticipated, the payback period is longer than was anticipated. We now, this second agreement, or the amendment that happened recently, was to add another boiler down at the wastewater plant as a alternative to burn the leftover methane and to provide some more energy. That is also not able to burn the methane, but it does give us a very good backup system at the wastewater plant. And extra bonus is it's much more efficient than the old one. So as instead of using it as a backup, we're using that as the primary boiler at the wastewater plant.
But you know, that, and this is kind of rubs me a little because, you know, the council accepted this with the guarantee that if we don't make the savings that we were going to make, and I think that's in the minutes, that McKinstry said that we're not making, I think we were supposed to save 123 or something like that, and I think we're at 87. And most of that, or a good share of that savings was supposed to be from using the methane instead of natural gas. Of course, one thing that's saving us now is the price of natural gas is way down, but you know, that can go way up too. So is there any chance of McKinstry standing behind their claim, or is that just something that they said, well, here's the boiler and then we forget about it?
I was talking with the city attorney earlier about that, and he's not really had an opportunity to look at it now with the new information, with the second boiler not working the way it was anticipated as well. If you wanted to, I'm certain.
I think it would be prudent for the city attorney to take a look at that contract, and you know, I know there was some fine line in the contract, but the contract was based on the burning of methane gas, and we're not burning methane gas. So if council would concur, I would like to have the city attorney take a good look at that and see if we do have some recourse. And, you know, this is like a lot of those things you hear about, all these energy-saving things and everything. And I think a lot of communities, they go, or institutions, they go for it, but they never check to see whether they're saving or not. In the city of Winona, we checked. And we're saving, but we're not saving what we should, and we're not saving anywhere near what we should have saved on the burning of the methane gas. Plus, it does not take down our footprint, our carbon footprint, like we were promised it would too. So maybe the city attorney could look into that. Debbie.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, that's why, and a couple of reasons why I'd requested that we get an update on this as well, exactly with some of the points, you know, the mayor brought up, and like, where are we at? Are we realizing the cost savings? Are they, you know, does McKinstry owe the city back? Because they did say that specifically about the savings, and if it didn't work, that they would reimburse us for that in some way, shape, or form. A question though, at this, do you know, can you say right now at this time, where is the city going to go from here? Like you talk about, you know, our carbon footprint, you know, energy savings, sustain Winona. Is there any talk about other projects or to keep on this, or as new developments come along that we want to keep looking at a more environmentally friendly, energy efficient means of operation?
I think I would refer that to the city manager as direction on that.
Maybe that's something staff should look at.
Okay.
And
as a continual process improvement, it's like, where are we going? That we just didn't do this, and then now what? You know, like I said, moving forward.
Just really address the number of things that McKinstry pointed out throughout the city
Exactly.
that were issues, and I think most all of those have been addressed. There's a few minor things as far as
right.
they can still be looked at.
But there's always, you know, if there's things that are new, up and coming, I think we really need to stay on top of that, because there's always something that's developing, or we can partner with others in the community, which we have been doing. You know, we've done tremendous work in that area, but I think not to drop the ball, you know, to kind of keep having some periodic discussions about it would be helpful.
okay, anyone else? Okay.
Item 7.1 is council concerns.
Okay, we'll start with Al tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Miller. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year coming up for everybody. And to Councilperson White, happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh, jeez. Yes, it is. Thank you. I almost forgot.
Isn't social media wonderful?
That's what that cake is doing in the back, huh?
I don't know.
Don't say how old I'm going to be.
I want to thank you for your 8 years of service to Winona. I've enjoyed serving with you on council and respect your hard work and your dedication to our community. And thank you for your support and all you've done to build the sister city relationship with Winona and Misato, Japan, and your involvement with the Great Dakota Gathering. So thank you for your work. And Mayor Miller.
Yes, sir.
I was watching the winter graduation ceremony on HBC, and I happened to catch part of your remarks, and I really, really enjoyed them. In fact, I wish I had a copy that I could play back for you now, because it really captures your personality and what is so remarkable about your service to this community in a variety of roles as a public servant, as a businessman, and a community supporter. I don't know of too many events, at least public events, during the last few years that you haven't attended, from welcoming the Sister City ambassadors here at City Hall to welcoming our soldiers. Your remarks have always been spot on. Thank you. And here in the council chambers, I could always count on you to manage our meetings with diplomacy, especially at times when the decision we were about to make had many pros and cons. Compromise, consensus, and leadership guided our debate. And Winona has done very well under your guidance. You've given all of us the great foundation upon which to continue to build a healthy, successful, and caring community. Thanks, Jerry. I'm honored to have served with you on council and wish you the absolute best for both you and your family in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Jerry?
Pass.
Michelle?
I'm just going to say to both Debbie White and you, Mayor Miller, that I think your absence will be felt at the city. And in just the 2 years I've been here, I don't know if people know how much time and effort you put into both of your jobs. And I'm sure that the new people will do great, but in these 2 years I've just seen how much effort you put in. And I really respect that. So I'm sorry to see both of you go.
Okay. Debbie?
Thank you. Speaking of sister cities, coincidentally, Al, thank you very much for the kind words as well. This had come up over a couple of years, and we had been asked to one time host the Minnesota Sister Cities International Annual Conference. I would like to put that out there and maybe see if that might happen at some point. I know a couple of times that they had approached us to see if we could host that conference. It's usually a day, I believe, so we're going to keep that in there. It reminds me for staff, I know one time I had asked, I think we did a little something about kites. You know, Japan has a long history of extensive use of kite flying, and there's also a lot of kite organizations in Minnesota as well. I think something really unique and artful and cultural could be done with that. And also sand art. I know I keep saying that to Chad, something about sand art as well. I did forget to mention one thing. We were talking about the non-conditional use permit, kind of as an aside, but I know some emails that all of us got. I think there are two different things going on as far as blasting goes, because I was also in the blasting committee. That's a separate agreement with the Bisons, so that's a blasting agreement at times. So that's not to do with the operation of the mine. So I just want a little clarification with that. And Mayor Miller, yes, thank you very much. It's been an enjoyable 8 years working with you, very much so. And again, all your many, many years of service and dedication is greatly appreciated and has affected so many folks in such a good way, and throughout the state as well. So I've enjoyed working with you as well. Thank you. And yes, this is my last official meeting, just like the mayor. We have until December 31st officially, until it hits midnight. And then we pass the baton for others. But again, I'd like to say that it's been a wonderful 8 years of public service, and my many thanks and appreciation to everyone in supporting, helping, and working and disagreeing with me, because you learn that way. So good civil discourse, respectful discourse for all of us. So definitely I've learned a lot. I've had the opportunity to meet many good people, make new friends throughout the state, and I've been fortunate to be able to also represent Winona up at the Capitol in St. Paul since I've been elected. I've been very fortunate to also be on the board the last few years of the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and fighting for things that affect Winona and other Greater Minnesota cities as well. So again, it has been great. Thank you for having given me this valuable opportunity to serve Winona, to serve the community. It has been an honor. But I have to lastly say, especially to thank my two sons for going through all this wild and crazy journey with me. They've been awesome and terrific. And other members of my family. And I have to say, I was fortunate that my mother was still alive when I first got elected. I took the seat early like Pam did in November. And she passed away 2 days after my third council meeting. But at least I feel very blessed that she was saying, all right, and I didn't know politics at all, and look what happened. So thank you very much for everybody. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Pam?
I pass, thank you.
George?
Okay. First of all, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year. I'd like to send out anniversary greetings to a longtime Fourth Ward couple, Bill and Mary Schultz, who celebrated very happily yesterday. Congratulations to them. And Councilwoman White, thank you for your time spent on serving the people and working with us here. You probably heard throughout, and you're probably sick of hearing it, I have 14 years on City Council. Probably heard that time and time again. When I first came on here 14 years ago, there was Mayor Miller and Councilman Jerry Craig. Those are the two people. Those two people for sure came on. The other chairs and faces all kind of changed different personnel. And during those 14 years, well, I've been here with Jerry Craig and Jerry Miller, and of course Jerry Craig's not going anywhere, so, but you were all part of this. During the 14 years I've been on, we've accomplished a lot of things. One of the first things we did is we had the high Wagon Bridge reconstruction, a project that came under a lot of debate, and we've had our adversaries, and it was a tough project, but we got it done. Then comes Pelzer Street, another adversarial project, but we got it done. We have upgrades to water and sewer plant operations. The East End Industrial Park or Retail Park. And let me tell you, we've had adversaries. We've had a lot of them. I think we were all badgered and butchered, and it just kept on coming and coming. As we look at it today, it's a very successful park. Whether for those that don't like it, it is very, very successful. We've had order annexation agreements with our friends in Wilson. We went through protecting the bluffs, another controversial issue at the particular time. $500,000 we say that we spent for that, so we could enjoy the beauty today. We've assisted many housing developments, and I guess I can say a lot of those occurred in the Fourth Ward, but there were some up in the First Ward as well too.
Thanks.
We assisted many businesses through the Port Authority with the revolving loan fund. We have an agreement close to on the Interstate Bridge. We've gone through budget reductions several times, and as we were reducing the budget, we kept services at full strength for all of our citizens. We've been in great financial condition all those years, something a lot of communities and school districts and counties cannot say, but we can very, very proudly say that. Constructed a new port dock, and we've always kept our LGA in focus. As we can say with Mayor Miller, you've been our mayor 10% of the time, but I think to myself and everyone else that sat in these seats, you were a friend. You were a friend to every one of us here. We addressed issues as friends. We've made decisions as friends. Sometimes the friendships weren't always so good, but we made those decisions and we were all able to say just what we thought. So, Mayor, thank you for your years of service. Thank you for being a friend not only to us here, but to the entire community, and you will be remembered. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Under the consent agenda, there are 3 items. Approval of the minutes from December 3rd, the final adoption of an ordinance for WSU campus parking enforcement, the final adoption of an ordinance to allow the installation of additional water meters.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Debbie,
Second.
second by Michelle. Questions? All in favor of the consent, which is the approval of minutes and 2 ordinances. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried.
And Mr. Mayor, for the first time, I will make this motion reluctantly, but I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Jerry, second by Debbie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. All right, thank you.
I oppose.
One opposed.